pleasure to introduce you all to Dr. Javinder Singh, the Chapter Director for Startup Grind. He's going to say a few words.
We can't hear you.
You're on mute.
Yeah, okay, got it. So I'm super excited, Steve. Thank you so much for introducing me, and super excited to see some of great panel out here: Wisam, Ramzi, Agata, Dania, and of course, Steve. You've been, I'm sure you're going to do a good job on the hosting and bind everything together. You're expert on that. And Startup Grind has been active in Doha. Just for the other listeners, I'm just mentioning 2019, end of 2019. We had few events which were in physical presence in November, December, Jan, and Feb, until unfortunately COVID didn't allow us to have any more physical events. We were trying to continue on the virtual side, but we didn't want to make it too much frequent, so that it adds to the fatigue of being online all the time. So we're trying to do it every 2 months now instead of being a month, and then get the freedom of doing the physical events. Definitely, this is the first priority that we'll have. We'll come back on the physical events. Meanwhile, I think this particular event today is going to add a lot of value in terms of knowledge and idea sharing with the other attendees. I think all of us, which is Agata, Wisam, Ramzi, and Dania, have a lot to talk about, a lot to share. Their experienced professionals from the respective field. I thank each one of them from bottom of my heart to come up here and to participate in this discussion. Thank you so much, everyone. And Steve, a special thank to you for hosting it for us. And I look forward to this session. Thank you so much, Steve.
Dr. Javinder, you're an absolute inspiration, and what you've done in Qatar is tremendous, and it's a real testament when you get a panel like this with their experience. And yeah, absolute, it's brilliant what you've done. Today is a real privilege for me. Today's a real privilege for me. My name's Steve Mackie. And it's an honor to introduce you to the most wonderfulest panel here today. I know three of them. Wisam, I'm sorry, I haven't met you yet, but I just love your story. But I'm going to go to you first, Agata. If you could just, you're amazing, by the way. I saw your LinkedIn profile, and I saw your LinkedIn profile, and it's like, I don't know, you must be working 18 hours a day. You've got to be working 18 hours a day. So if you can introduce yourself and tell everybody exactly what you're involved with.
Well, I think if you really love what you do, and I think during this panel you're going to see that I absolutely adore what I do, it doesn't feel like working. So yeah, I'm a designer. I'm a user experience consultant. Currently, I'm working for Qatar Foundation. A shout out to Ahmed, who I see on the guest list, who is my boss. So hi, Ahmed. I've been working with various organizations on their branding and user experience, both in the Middle East and in Europe. For the past 5 years, I've been based in Doha, and I'm really also involved in the startup communities, mainly in Qatar. I'm a mentor. I'm a trainer. I work with QSTP, with the Digital Incubation Center, with the Arab Innovation Academy, with Stars of Science as well. So I'm all about user experience design and whatever is at the intersection of design and technology. This is what really excites me. And thank you so much for having me.
I had a list of everything that you're involved in to this present day, and we wouldn't have been able to answer any questions today because I would have been just continually saying what you're doing. So thank you so much. And it was a really important thing that you said was you've got to love what you do. And that's the biggest thing with startups, right? You've got to love what you do. Our next guest is a particular favorite of mine. I always saw you around in all the different events, and it was always something I wanted to get more involved with you with, which I'm hoping that's going to be in the future. But Ramzi, it's an absolute pleasure, and it's great to see you again. And you're like the godfather of mentors.
Thank you very much, Steve.
If you can tell everybody about yourself and what you do.
Well, see, it's look what Agata she mentioned, but here I start doing the mentorship, coaching, and I start helping the startup to love what they are doing. All right, so this is how we do it, because I love what I'm doing from coaching and mentoring. So I was engineer, telecom engineer. I work in Qatar and in Australia, and when I come back, the start for me is doing professional coaching and mentorship when the COVID-19. So COVID-19 was my positive start, and this is where I start to contribute with the ecosystem in Qatar and worldwide. So here I was also a coach in QST and in Cubic, and plus the private business what I am doing. So this is keep me busy all the week. I feel it was big challenge for me to answer why I came mentor. This is when I came back from all big organization I work, I have a challenge. Do I need to keep the same thing, or I need to go for entrepreneurs and to do? Here the decision I made it, no, I need to start going with the startup, with the entrepreneur, and give them all the experience. So more I focus with the leadership, management. So this is what I coming back, help the startup, keep them going, love what they are doing, give them all the possibility. From all the travel, I have it on the worldwide, and plus all the networking, and I have it, so I can give them. So this is keep me very interesting, attending all the expos, meeting for the startup. So this is really is very good. And I start even building the entrepreneurship mindset in my children. And this is what I'm looking for. This is the new economy for all the planet.
You are fantastic. You're a legend, especially on LinkedIn. You've got such a following on LinkedIn. And just a message to everybody that's listening right now. LinkedIn, if you haven't harnessed it, is one of the best things that you could possibly do. Take everybody's name and connect with us. Connect with us. And if there's questions that you've got, if there's things that you want to ask, or that every one of us is on there, and we'll answer any problems or help you in any way we possibly can. It comes to I'm going to come to my next guest now. And she doesn't know this, but she's probably one of my biggest aspirations. Is because this lady has so many clients that she works with in Qatar, and every time I speak with a startup, the first name that comes out of there when they tell me how wonderful things are is Dania. Dania, please, please tell everybody about yourself, because you are a legend too.
Thank you so much, Steve. Well, I started mentoring about 7 years ago, I would say. Before that, I have about 14 years of experience in communication, marketing, and design. And about 7 years ago, I started in business development as well. So I started as a design mentor, and I was working with a lot of startups, which some of them have made it to market at this point. And I started to notice that I'm very interested in the business development side, in the marketing side, because for startups, when someone decides to do a startup, they have to be a jack of all trades. They can't have someone specialized in each field when they're starting. So I have to be that kind of mentor for them as well. So when I start with them, I don't just do pure design or pure marketing. I have to look at a holistic picture, and that's my approach. It's a very holistic approach that kind of finds affordable solutions to tackle the market in whichever area they're trying to penetrate in Qatar right now. And it's been an amazing ride. It's been a wonderful ride, and I'm learning so much about the entrepreneurship world in Qatar, and about the startup market and what challenges we have, which are unique to Qatar. And I use all that information when I mentor any team that I'm with. And yeah, it's been great. The main thing I focus on when I start with any team, I would say I focus on trying to get them to envision their startup future without investment, because that, for a lot of people, that's the main hurdle, and it kind of kills the dream of so many amazing ideas here in Qatar, thinking, oh, I didn't get an investment, that's it, it's over for me. So when I do mentor them, I mentor them with the mindset of, when you don't get your investment, this is what you do. So that if they do get their investment, it's great, and if they don't, they can keep going. So that's my approach.
it's that empathy and understanding that you've got, that you can help them. As you said, when it is tough in the very beginning, that's where you step in, and that's where you're absolutely crucial.
Exactly.
Now, Wisam, we haven't met before. I'm really sorry about that, but I've done some research, and your story is unbelievable. Your story is one of those dreams that happen. You go into QST, and then all of a sudden the world opens to you. Could you tell us a little bit about what's happened to you briefly?
Yeah, sure. So I came out to Qatar about 12 years ago. Old family friends said, "You should come out, start something here." So I had a good life in San Francisco, you know, in the Berkeley Hills, doing management consulting, working with startups. I sold everything, sold my house, sold everything, took what money I had, and I invested it in my company here. I was alone. And then we grew it over time, and now we're one of the biggest of what we do here in Qatar. And from here, I've been able to launch other startups. I think Qatar is I'll go into more detail later, but it's a great springboard to launch your product worldwide, which is what I'm doing with a couple of other startups that I have. I mean, when I go into, I started mentoring a couple of years ago. A friend, Maher at QSTP, said there's this Accelerate program. Can you mentor for them? So I was very happy to do it. And actually, it was an amazing experience because I learned more from these young people than I would from someone who's experienced. But I mean, what I try and bring to the table is I've been there. I mean, I've been in, no money for payroll, depressed, in tears at night. You wake up at 2 a.m. I have 2 small kids. How am I going to get through to tomorrow? Your highs as a startup are very high, but your lows are very, very low. So I try and focus more on sort of the emotional side. I mean, everyone has skill sets. We're all hard workers. That's probably the easy part of it. But do you have the perseverance, the mental strength to continue? There's a lot of suicide amongst entrepreneurs. I think it's important to highlight that failure is important and part of the journey. The most successful startups with the fastest growth, the average age of the entrepreneur is 46. I think it's important. You don't have to be 20 years old. Many successful people later in life, because you have to learn from your mistakes. So that's how I ended up in Qatar, and glad to be part of the panel.
Oh, it is a brilliant story that you've got, and all those feelings that you can relate to and know exactly what people are going through. It's brilliant. What I'm gonna do now is, in front of me with my screen, I've got Agata, I've got Ramzi, I've got Wisam, and then I've got Dania. And that's the way I'm going to do with these questions, if I may. So my first question is, why did you become a mentor?
Okay, so I'm going first, yeah?
Yes.
So, many years ago, almost 10 years ago, back in Poland, I was a participant of a startup accelerator. I had my own startup, and that made me appreciate the role of mentorship. I noticed what a big impact the mentors I met then had on me, how they encouraged me, how they guided me. So when I came to Qatar 5 years ago, and I was working as a design consultant, I thought, okay, maybe it's time to use this. I had a bit of free time. That was not a full-time commitment, my consultant's job. So I thought, let's give back a bit to the community, and let's also use it as a wonderful opportunity to network. So I reached out to multiple accelerator programs and just offered my time. So that's how it started. But I mean, the rest is history. It's just such a big and important part of my life now. It's just such a joy, such a mutual learning experience. It's not a one-way mentorship. It's definitely a shared learning experience, and definitely a very energizing thing. I'm sure there will be many opportunities during the next questions to touch upon that, but it's just you invest time, but you get so much inspiration, motivation, that it's just even if you're super busy, do mentor. It's worth it. It's totally worth it.
And just touching on that, it's like when you do this, your problems vanish, right? When you're giving so much to other people, your problems are no longer there. Anyway, thanks very much, Ramzi.
Yeah, this is actually keep me interesting is sharing the knowledge. Everyone I meet him, if he's working or he's a startup or thinker or developer or anyone on this is the ecosystem, you learn from him something new. And sharing this is knowledge, give it back for the startup. Other people that didn't have this opportunity to learn. This is keep me very interesting. And when I see changing or helping the people actually to change their mindset, getting other people experience how they was success, how they bypass this is the challenge, and how now they achieve what they was dreaming. This has given me a lot of return back from feeling of achievement and how people they are success. And I help them actually. This is came back for me with the load with the startup. Sometimes they come back with a lot of negative feelings, a lot of things. So here for you as a mentor, you need to start absorb this one, and you need to change it for a positive, and you need to leave him with a positive mindset and keep going. So this is really challenging, and sometimes you need to start relieving by yourself. So for me also, I am using a coaches for me to help me in this way, so I can keep going. And this is back, I can support all the startup. So this is one of the most interesting sharing. I met a lot of worldwide, everybody you met him a new different story. So here is very excited. Even for I know the number of mentors in Qatar or coaching is very few, but it is something is very amazing and interesting for people. They need to learn, to need to give back to the community, to what all, for example, 25 years or 20 years of for example, you work with this is experience. You need now to get it back for the people who starting their future is just building their dream, which is for example, any drop of information is, and this is something is good.
And you never know when that no matter how small, you never know that difference that you're going to make to somebody, and that's the most.
Yes. I have one of the story. I just quickly. I told you one time I was like doing a public speaking training, so I need just to give a 1 minute speaking. So I was like doing a motivation. So I told the people they should start changing yourself. You should work, and this one. And I finished my speech. Then I finished. After like 6 years, I was like in a coffee shop. So I just waiting to get my coffee. Somebody just from Ramzi. I told him, yeah, you remember I changed my life. I told him, when? He told me one time he was talking about changing, about things. I was one of the audience. After I listened to you, I go to university, I register, my company give me a paid leave, and now I get master. I said, really, it's happened for you? I thought, yeah, you remember the speech? Frankly, I was do it for as public speaking trade, but this is impact you? He told me, I've changed my life, my family life like this. So sometimes this is the important of the word, important of the information, the knowledge, the data, what you give it back for the people. And sometimes you feel that you don't have immediate, but believe me, there's a lot of audience, a lot of people, they will change all. Keep us as a mentor and coach motivated, and every day we wake up early morning. Yes, today we have a new day.
Yeah, perfect. Love it. Wisam, do you want to tell why you love?
What was your question? It was why.
Why did you become a mentor? And you're going to say why you love it.
So, as I said, I was asked to be a mentor. Accelerate, and never crossed my mind. I never thought that I had anything to add to a startup. But as it turns out, actually, over the years, I did accumulate some bit of knowledge. I think the path of the entrepreneur is quite lonely, especially you're starting a company. You're really on your own against all odds, and to the point of Agata and Ramzi, as they mentioned, it's important to show it's a shared experience. If you're feeling like this, or you have this headache, or you have this issue, or you can't do this, you're not the first one in the world to have encountered that. That's been there. Other people have done it, and that's sort of the point of a mentor. I actually never had a mentor myself, and I wish I did. These organizations you can join as an entrepreneur, but the fact that I never had a mentor, I would have avoided a lot of the mistakes. I would have had someone to talk to or bounce ideas off. So the fact that you're helping people, it's very rewarding. And exactly like what was said previously, you learn. You learn a lot more from the mentees than I think I'm giving to them. They're coming with new ideas, new technologies, new ways of doing things. So when you talk to these people, their ideas could be better than yours, but as a mentor, I've done things a certain way. So I think it's very important not to influence sort of my way of thinking on them, and just to sort of the Socratic, ironic way of discussing people and trying to understand what they're doing. And then when we talk to them, it's never you should do this. It's always from my experience. Well, I've done it this way before, and that worked for me. Maybe consider it. But it's extremely rewarding to be a mentor. There's such a feeling of like as Ramzi said, several years later, someone tapped on his shoulder, and this is one person who knows other people you've affected in different ways, in a positive way. So that's definitely rewarding.
Dania, how did you become a mentor?
So for me, I was invited to be a mentor initially, but I've always been in love with teaching. And the reason is because a lot of teachers affected my life in moments. Like they give you that boost of confidence when you're not very sure. So I wanted to have that approach when I was invited to be a mentor. And I realized that a lot of people have great ideas, and when they approach me, they say, I don't think my idea is so good, but their idea would be amazing, and they just need that boost of confidence, and just they need you to build that vision for them or help them see it in a realistic way. So I love doing that for them. And then you get a lot of mentees that are so passionate and so energetic, and to be honest, that kind of energy is very contagious, and I absolutely love feeding off of that. Like, I love getting that energy. I love being around that kind of environment. So that's what kept me in the mentor startup atmosphere. But yeah, I love, like Ramzi said, affecting people's lives, and literally just sometimes you don't even have an idea to give them, but it's that confidence, it's that believing in them is that actually makes them get through it, and they can actually reach their potential just from your belief. And I love doing that for them. And it is an exchange of energy, because I get something back as well, which is that positivity, that creative environment that you're always in when you're working with them. So that's definitely it.
That's really good. And at this stage, I'm going to slip another question in here. And the question that I'm going to slip in here is, and there's going to be people listening to this. I guarantee you there's going to be people listening to this saying, how can I become a mentor? How can I become a mentor? And it's like just a really short answer, starting with you again, Agata. What would be that message?
Okay, so first identify what are you good at, what would you like to contribute to the startup society, and once you have that figured out, just Google accelerators, incubators, email them, what are your core skills, what is your availability, and just talk what's possible, right? Reach out to the community. All accelerator programs have websites. There is a person who reads that email. They're all looking forward to welcome more mentors. Your advice, your skills are valuable. So yeah, just reach out. There is no official process, I would say.
Ramzi?
Well, see, things here, what we said, you have, don't jump quickly to help the startup. Learn for example, the coaching. Coaching, for example, you don't need to advise them. You need to help them, to help their mind to get the decision. So sometimes I work, for example, with some people startup working in oil and gas, some people working in health, some people working in sport, some people working in transport. So I don't need to be expert in everything. So where's my expertise is give them some kind of open questions that it's open their mind for a new vision, for a new possibility, how they can do it. So this is what we mentioned sometimes in safety. Don't to hurry to help people before you make sure that you are already safe in the beginning. So this is one of the things you need to do. So I know the market is big, a lot of startup now. We have very big, especially the COVID-19 opened the market for a lot of startup. And the market is short from mentors, coaches, thing. So here also you need to be careful selecting the correct mentor or coach to help you in different. For example, I have a coach in sport. I cannot watch YouTube, then I do sport, then tomorrow I will be, healthy. So a lot of things coaching in different. Sometimes I have a coach in investment, so help me. So there's no one size fit all. So this is depending on where you need to do. So for example, Agata, if I need to do some kind of a design or I need to do something, I will look for her because she have her expertise. But if I go, for example, branding, I will go for Dania. I know she's expertise in this one. And for Wisam, if I need to scale up, if I need to go, I will use his expertise and his open vision, how to open the market outside work. So here, you need to be, as a startup, look for which mentor or coach could help you to business moving forward. Don't depend on one, as I mentioned, one size fit all. No, this is they are available. They are very high professional, but at the end, you need to run your business as a for moving forward. So this is hopefully answer your question, Steve.
Yeah, perfect. Wisam?
I don't have much to add. I mean, you hit it on the head. I get to hit it on the head with just Google it and find what your skill set is. But I think the other question you need to ask yourself is, why do you want to become a mentor? Is there a particular reason behind it? But yeah, nothing else to add.
Dania?
From my experience, in the beginning, I was invited to be a mentor, but later on, I wanted to kind of reach out to certain programs that I was interested in. So what I ended up doing is I started to build up my profile, kind of branded myself. And when I brand myself, people start to know that Dania is the go-to person. Just like you, Steve, when you hear my name a lot, that took a lot of work to get that reputation out there, to build that reputation. That took a lot of work for me. It took a few years. So now my name is known in the mentorship startup world in Qatar, and I literally had to brand myself to do that. And this is my area of expertise, so I knew the steps of how to do that. And right now I'm going more into the social media world of providing information for the general public and specifically to the Arabic speakers, because I feel like the entrepreneurship world in Qatar is a little bit more of English based, and I realized there's a lot of Arabic based speakers who want to learn these things. So I'm providing that information on my page now. So I'm reaching out to wider audiences in that way.
That's a massive marketplace, The only one thing that I would add is it, whether you're an entrepreneur or if you're a mentor, believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself and it's something that you want to do, you never know where your skill sets go if you put a little bit of hard work in. Now we're coming to the entrepreneurship side of things, and I like this one. Where are the common mistakes that you usually come across in startups or founders? And we're going to go back to you, Agata.
There are many, but I'm gonna list the two that I think are the most common ones, especially at the very early stage. I wanted to quote Stephen King, and he, in his memoir on writing, he wrote, "Kill your darlings, even if it breaks your egocentric heart." And I think it sums up really well the struggle that we get attached when we write or when we work startup, we get attached. This is our baby. And it's very hard to pivot. It's very hard to step away from some initial ideas because we are very, very much attached. And I think this is one of the biggest mistakes. You need to be flexible. You need to know that at the early stage, your idea is in a liquid state. You will iterate. You will adjust to the feedback from the market. You will adjust to the feedback from your user research, right? So being flexible is the advice. Not being flexible is a very common mistake. And the other thing that I come across quite often is that wannabe entrepreneurs quite often are very smart people who are excellent students. They are very intelligent. They are very proud, and they are used to doing things alone. And it's not always easy to ask for help, But if you want to actually build a business, if you want to scale, if you want to, create a team, you will need other people. And it's important to reach out, to ask for help, to look out for mentors, and to have that bit of humility and good communication skills. These are two things that I definitely lacked when I was starting. I wish I had that. That was my biggest, I would say mistakes. To reach out for help. You're awesome, but you do need other people to grow, right?
Great one. Yeah, great too. What about you, Ramzi?
Yeah, excellent. This is what the only one. Don't work alone. This is one of the biggest things, and this is what I did it in my big. I believe that I have enough knowledge. But no. Scientists mention that 70% of startup failing due to a lot of from mental wellness or mental health. They decide because they have a lot of stress, a lot of fear, a lot of burnout due to a lot of things challenging. They have it. So normally this is if you face it, and your brain every day they generate more than 80,000 of new ideas. And if you have a lot of stress, so you have today's another 80,000 of stress, and tomorrow you have another 80. So it's continuous. So this is the research mentioned that this is how they do it if you continue alone. So please don't, if you need to jump to start a business, keep somebody. The role of the mentor or for the coach, he's a third person. Only in what he's looking is your success. Normally, if you look for a friend or relative or brother, he give you because you are relative, need you to keep you happy or something. If you have your business partner or your employee, they just need to keep the business running. But if as a coach or a mentor, no, he's looking for one person. He's you. You need to be success. And this is where their expertise to remove all the stress, all the negativity, our brain every day generated to take it and because our action based on our emotion, and our emotion are based on what we have in our positive or negative. So keeping positive, you will be always motivated. You keep going hard. You can do all your dreams. To summary, don't work alone.
Don't work alone. Get a team.
Yes.
Wisam?
Adding on to what previous two said, I think a lot of the startup founders go into start a company or start on this journey. The biggest mistake I see is they underestimate what's required in doing it. It's probably the most difficult thing they'll ever do in their life, doing a startup. In a professional life. I'm married with kids, so it's also challenging to balance everything. But in a professional career, doing a startup is actually very difficult. They underestimate it. I think they underestimate it from the amount, as Ramzi said, mental strength you need to do. And one of the key factors that I've seen, a common thread, is perseverance in startups. I've seen a lot of dumb people become very, very successful, so your intelligence isn't important. I've seen ugly people become very successful, so they don't have to be handsome or pretty to be successful. But the only common thread I've seen is perseverance, and that's That's important because, as Agata was saying, you have to be able to pivot. You have to be flexible. Okay, but that takes time. You have to try something, fail, and then try it again, fail again until you understand what's working. And you have to keep going. You have to be okay that you failed yet again and pick yourself up and move forward. There's a lot of mental strength in that. So I think it's the biggest mistake I see is they underestimate how difficult it is. It doesn't matter your age either, because I see people that quit their job in their 40s and say, "Oh, okay, I have a great idea," and then after a year, they're this. I can't handle it, and go back to a paying, being on the payroll again. So that would be my 2 cents on that.
Dania?
So for me, I'm going to talk about more technical mistakes that I'm seeing, like day-to-day technical mistakes that I'm seeing. And the main ones that I see is a lot of these startups go in trying to partner up with friends instead of partnering up with people who complement their skills. So I get a lot of startups who have 5 business majors or 5 engineering majors, and they're not complementing each other's skills. And the main thing you want is to try to have a team that all complements each other, and a team that is equally committed to the project, to the idea. Because a lot of times I'm getting these teams where one person just never shows up, or and they're part of the team and they're usually the decision maker. So that's a common mistake that I'm seeing. So you have to be really careful not to have repetitive skills in the same team. The other mistakes that I see a lot is that they go into these accelerator programs with the full intention of, when I get the investment, I will do this. And that is, I would say 95% of the time, 95 plus, you're not going to get the investment. So you really have to start thinking, if I don't get the investment, what will I do? I'm going to continue, but how? And I feel like we need to mentor them in that way as well, because 95% of the time they don't get the investment. So how can they, maybe we can teach ways of getting investment, but not like different, diverse ways of getting investment. It's not only just one big investor that comes. Sometimes it's different. There are so many different ways of getting investments or raising money for a project. So it's not just that one way. So those are the 2 main mistakes that I see a lot. And a third mistake I have to highlight, because I see this almost with every team that gets an investment and fails, is that they don't know how to hire the right resources. So for example, if someone is creating an app and they don't have any technical background, and I even got teams with a technical background who got investment and still hired the wrong resources, you really, before hiring someone in a specific area, you must consult a mentor who's specialized in that area, because you can end up hiring an app developer, for example, who can do some of the features that you want and not others. And you end up using most of your investment for that one developer, and then you're just stuck and you can't afford to go forward, or you can't do more releases. So you have to be so careful how you manage your funding and who to hire. And sometimes people say, we're going to hire people online because it's cheaper, but then there's a communication barrier, especially if it's a technical project. So I've even seen people with investments who fail because of that. So just be careful from those technical mistakes that I see.
And it's making those people that's coming into your team, get them into your thought process, and making sure that they understand what you're heading towards, so that they can then bring their experience.
Exactly.
Now there's really good answers there. This is the exciting part for me, because I'm going to ask you now, as entrepreneurs, did you use a mentor, and what was that defining kind of gift they gave you that changed a lot?
Okay, I go, yeah.
The floor is yours. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I did. And my first mentors were actually my professors from university. I'm not sure they remember me. It's been a very long time ago, but if Marek Średniawa, Muraszkiewicz remember me, I just want to give them a shout out. They were the first people who really inspired me and also believed in me and pushed me to do projects beyond I would say, the ordinary scope, to step out, to be a bit more ambitious, to look further. So definitely a great experience. And another community where I found an absolutely brilliant mentor was I was really involved in TED and TEDx events. I was organizing and hosting, co-hosting TEDx Warsaw events, and our main, let's say, the founder of that team, Ralph Talmont, that was just such a beautiful person, such a creative mind, who was pushing me and so many other people to do things we wouldn't dare to do, and then, you know, the satisfaction, the joy. So yeah, I did have mentors, but mainly my academic and TED circles. These were not mentors I got by reaching out, and I really regret that I did not have a practice of reaching out as an entrepreneur 10 years ago. Now I do reach out to people on LinkedIn or, you know, through other channels, and I think it's so worth doing, because mentors are not only the people who are actually appointed by, you know, acceleration programs, incubation programs, and so on. You can find your own mentor just by looking at you know, browsing LinkedIn, the right area of expertise, reach out, ask for help. So this is something I did not do, and I think it's totally worth it.
Excellent.
Ramzi, your go.
Well, in mentor, I start, maybe I was, when I was young, I doing playing Taekwondo for 15 years. So coaching, playing, mentoring is something a long time. But in business, I start learn it clearly. And he was like my manager. And there he asked me even to go more to learn about coaching. We did it in Australia. So there I learned coaching in Australia, but I didn't use it, you know. And when I came back to Qatar, I found that like a new skill, a new thing, a new opportunity, which is I start now getting back and give it back support for the startup. So as I told you, in everything, even for my coaching in the sport now I'm doing. So he told me, I don't need you to make you muscles, you need. But as a businessman, there's a lot of compromising about your health. So here I need to balance between doing the work and to maintaining your health, because your health is this not what you have. So sometimes you feel yourself, you are tired, but sometimes they get, you know, it's because, for example, you are sitting for 2 hours continuous, something you need to achieve, you know, it's like magnetic. So here, when you have a small advice, but actually change, you need to walk, you need to have to drink water, you need to have some healthy food, you need a lot of things, wake up early, see the sunrise, really completely change your life and how much you will be optimistic in doing all the things in your day. So this is sometimes, yes, getting a lot of mentors is not meaning you are. Now we have what we saw in athlete in Tokyo 2020. Do you think this is the athlete who took the medal, gold medal? They are just doing it randomly or just sitting with to see the YouTube? No, they have for everything a specialized mentor, coach, to the food, the quantity, the wake up, because that they reach to that one. So here we need now to resist that. It's very attractive for you as a startup, and you need to engage more people, professional people around you to get you where you need your dream you need to be like. So this is
very, very good. Was there anybody that stood out for you?
So you talk to
Sorry,
Ramzi.
Wisam. Sorry, yeah, Wisam. Sorry.
Yeah.
No issues. I guess the closest. So this concept of mentor, I mean, the first time I heard about it, I think it was a Seinfeld episode where George wanted to be a mentor to someone. So I wasn't familiar with the concept as a form of mentor. The closest I had to a mentor was my father, who was forced out of Palestine in 1948, came here, worked in the desert when he was young, etc., and then built a very successful business in Saudi Arabia as an entrepreneur. in food and catering of all things. But he was the closest person to a mentor, and more of also a source of inspiration as well. You know, a mentor serves many roles. So he sort of his advice and guidance obviously rubbed off on me, and there's a lot of startups out there that probably weren't as lucky to have someone close to them that could offer them advice. So that's one of the things I enjoy about mentorship and also, I guess, leadership in my company as well, sort of provide that guidance, inspiration, and vision to everyone. So I would say that's probably the closest thing to a mentor for me.
Brilliant. And Dania, was there a mentor that really gave you something that just fired you forward at such a pace?
I didn't really have a mentor per se. Maybe in our day, we didn't really have that kind of system happening. But the closest thing I had to, life mentors, business mentors would be both my parents. Both my parents had individual businesses. My mom was a doctor, so she had her own private clinic, and my dad has a construction company here in Qatar. So we grew up in a family where we were constantly taught about business, about communication, about how to be ambitious and how to keep that perseverance, and how to learn, as in every conversation you have, how to kind of seek out knowledge and apply that knowledge. So I was very lucky that I had that, and I would say that me and my siblings all have kind of that business mindset because of the way we were raised. So back in my day, I wouldn't say that was very common to have mentors, but I was lucky that my parents were great mentors for me in business. And now, as I am progressing in my career, I am seeking out certain people in areas that I want to grow. Like, for example, I have a social media consultant to help me navigate the social media world. And there's nothing wrong with trying to ask for that extra help from someone who's an expert in that area. And I advise everybody to do it, just to get 1 or 2 hours of consultation from somebody who you really believe you can learn from, can really take you to the next level. So I absolutely would advise that. I would also advise to sit with people who have made it, like your parents, like anyone in your family, because they will give you endless time and endless information, and they will do it passionately. So, look around you, look at the people around you in your family and your friends who has made it, and try to pick their brain.
I think you're 100%, and it's kind of there's a fine line between I think mentors and inspirations are such a fine line. And it's a big responsibility. It was a big responsibility to label yourself with one of those. But it's something that there's so much pressure on your shoulders to be able to come out and be one of them. I know I'm being told in my ear that we've got until 5 to get a move on. So I'm going to pick out some of the questions that I think are going to be really good ones. What is the ecosystem, the entrepreneur ecosystem here in Qatar? What is Qatar like for that person that's going to be starting a business? And why is it different to the other regions around? And I'll start with you.
Well, I think it's a really interesting ecosystem, and especially now that the blockade has been lifted, I think we're back to being an awesome environment to start a new business. There are so many acceleration programs, so many incubation opportunities, so many private investors who are willing to put their money into promising ideas. So that's definitely a great thing. What is different and what might be a disadvantage is that this is quite an expensive country to live in. So if you cannot be here, just crashing at a friend's place without a visa on a ramen diet, it's not going to work. So most of the entrepreneurs that are here, usually they do it after working hours. I see it's a common style for the acceleration program participants, and that unfortunately it's not always the best solution if you cannot really commit full time to this idea that you're developing. I mean, your chances are just lower. But it's definitely a fantastic environment. There is also a cultural difference that struck me a lot when I came here. I think a very important part of working on a startup is sharing and getting feedback. And the feedback culture in the Middle East is so much different. You guys are not good at it. I'm sorry to say that. I come from a very transparent and direct country. Polish people don't. I mean, we just don't bother we are just straightforward. We don't like something, or we think something is not going to work. We just say it. I came to Qatar, and all I was hearing around is amazing, amazing, amazing. And I thought I started noticing that, Agata, this is amazing, and there is this tiny thing that I need to unwrap, unpack, and make sense of that. So for people who are not from this culture, I encourage you to look into that feedback cultural difference. It's huge. And from my friends who are from here, guys, please just be more direct. Feedback is a gift. It's a gift. It's so precious. It's so much better to give direct feedback at an early stage when a startup is developing than to learn it the harsh way when you spend years developing your product and it just doesn't sell. So yeah, expensive country, a lot of opportunities, a lot of potential investors, different feedback culture.
Very good point. Very, very good points. Ramzi, please. I'm sure.
I thought what Agata, she mentioned, she summarized everything. You have the system, you have the big incubator, big investment, all the infrastructure is ready. But also the startup, the people by themselves, they should take initiate for them, and they should take one step ahead. So as I told you, the world is coming now to support. We can see Germany, for example, 60% from their economy came from startup, from America, 70%. All the world is now changing and support. So here you need to start, think about, okay, I have a job, that's fine, keep it. But think about now hitting these things, and we can see early age people coming to do the startup, and we can try. Last time, just to summarize with this one, was a story. I met somebody, he just told me, Ramzi, start. I need to. So okay, that's fine. But how long it will take? I told him, let's say 6 months. Oh, 6 months until to get the business profit. I thought, yeah, what's the problem? No, it's too long. So I told him, okay, what do you need to do? He thought I will wait until retirement, then I will do it. I told him, okay, how long it will take for you to take retirement? He thought just 30 years. I told him, keep your dream 30 years. You thought it's short than 6 months. So here the thing is, the people, they need to their the way how they're thinking. It's fine to take 6 months or 1 year or 2 years. It's fine. Do it, learn, practice one time. Start with the part, some other founder, build a one business. Do it by yourself, until you make sure that one day you will success. And we have a lot of success stories and people how they change completely their life, going and working this one, and they are not changed. We have 2 eyes, 2 hands, 3, and it's the same what we have. But this is the change should come from you. You need to start this as a startup to try. So what's young people? And this is one, I have very early young people, I coach them and they success. And I have people with 70 years and they success also. So age is, you can decide this is the early people only they will success, or big people, no. The market is big, the idea is hungry people, the opportunity is massive. So this is what I can share or summarize, that it's you need to take the step to do this one.
Wisam, what do you think to the ecosystem here?
I think the startup ecosystem has matured dramatically since I first arrived here. There is a lot of support infrastructure now in the country, and they're really trying to push people to go on their own and do their own thing. to make a change, not open another coffee shop, but really make a change globally in the world. And it's, again, as I said earlier, it's a great, Qatar is a great platform to launch globally. One of our the startups to have, it's an airport system, and we deployed it at Hamad Airport. Well, honestly, 10 years ago, if I was calling from Qatar and I was a startup, I would say, we have offices in the US or the UK, or France. We're not, I wouldn't mention Qatar. The difference is today, I pick up the phone and I call, say, yeah, I'm in Qatar, and we deployed at Doha Airport. We have the most advanced airports in the region. So for a change, I'm exporting knowledge globally. I can't go to the US and say, oh, I'll teach you how to do e-commerce. I'm from Qatar. Or I can't go to France and say, I'll teach you hospitality. I'm from Qatar. But I can go to them and say, I'll teach you about airports. We've deployed the best of breed in the region, and I will export knowledge to you. And now we have deployments in Europe for our system. So this is a change that's happened over the past 10 years. So I agree, it's more expensive. We don't have a development team here. They're overseas. But if you can manage that, there's a lot of big support infrastructure in place here. I mean, the only difference for me is that I already had a company and I was able to branch off of that. So I'm not working somewhere. So that's the advantage I might have, but definitely managing your time and spending 100% to a startup, it's a little, that's manageable here. They have ramen noodles, but you can't, couch surf.
Dania, your point?
Okay, so I'm going to touch upon something which is what Agata said and what Wisam said. Qatar is a has amazing potential for so many startups, for so many entrepreneurs to grow here. But this has kind of become a two-edged sword in Qatar because everyone is welcome to have a new idea. Everyone is welcome, whether that idea is something truly new or reinventing the wheel. So I feel like for a while there, everybody's idea was welcome in all the accelerators. And yes, it was more about quantity. And the problem with that is that Qatar became a very oversaturated market. And that created resistance for any startup to get to penetrate the market. So for example, if we have a new app, people are kind of hesitant if it's actually going to work, if it's actually going to make it or not, because there's so much competition. And there's so much competition because it's the perfect breeding environment for entrepreneurs and for startups. So we have to be careful. I feel like there has to be more of a smart filtering system for what kind of startups to make it to the public, just so that we don't have more of an oversaturated market and create resistance for the actually good startups out there. So I feel like it's a two-edged sword, and I'm seeing a lot of people struggle with, instead of using the majority of their investment in, for example, the actual technology of their idea, they're now using it for marketing and branding because they want to stand out, because it's so oversaturated. So we have to be careful with what kind of startups we welcome into the market, so that we don't kind of throw it off balance completely. That's my comment.
Sometimes that I think here we tend to want to ice and decorate the cake first, and we haven't even weighed the flour or the margarine or those type of things. I think one thing that a couple of points I would say is market research. I would say learn the culture and make sure you've got money in your pocket, because if you haven't got one of those, or you haven't done one of those to its full, and credibility, you've got to build your credibility, and it goes a huge way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with one question at the end, but what we're going to do is open up for some questions right now from people that are listening. So I'm just going to open up the question points now. Let me just see and read through quickly. I do apologize. Ah, dear me. I'm having problems with my technical stuff. Sorry. Here we go. Peter, I'm looking through the questions. No, we haven't got any questions. Has anybody got any questions?
I see some questions here.
Please, because I'm not getting it up on.
Okay, so I see there's one question to me about my last comment about if this resistance applies to all industries or just the software businesses. Unfortunately, it is applying to other industries, not all, but other industries. For example, the hospitality industry, cafes, hotels. Not all the cafes. They promise you that they're going to be different, but they're really not offering something so different. So it became skeptical. For medical centers, they say like we have a different approach, and then they wouldn't. So I'm not trying to shame any industry, but I'm just trying to say that we have to be careful because we are creating a natural resistance for the future for any potentially good startup, and we are wasting, or I wouldn't want to say wasting money on marketing, but it is kind of killing our capital on marketing that's unnecessary because we're trying to get out of that saturation. So I would be careful with that. When you do have a different idea and you want to present it, then you have to focus on the unique selling point. So what makes you different than anyone else? So if you do have an idea and you know there's an oversaturation, focus on what makes you so unique and why that uniqueness will hold you all the way through to the other side, to success. So you have to focus on that when you present to investors, to the public, the way you brand yourself. This is how you kind of navigate through all that saturation.
And I'm just going to add on there because I think that just because that it could be a saturated market, stand out in that marketplace. If you think that you're good enough, if you've made that decision to go into that marketplace, be better than everybody else. I'm not afraid of any marketplace. You go in there and you take it head on. Listen to the things that everybody said here today. Take pieces of what everybody said and go and smash it. Go and do it, all that market research. Get the right people on your team that you can back up and support. Anyway, that's the one thing that I would say with the marketplace.
Steve, to the point what Dania mentioned, maybe some people or startup, they start duplicating an idea. It's already there. And we can see the group of people, okay, let's do similar to this application. So everybody having like adding 500 or 1 million, then they start building. Then after that, they discover like they're having 5-10 applications the same. Okay, let's close it, go build something else. Here, like, let's go back for the Qatar, for example, they launched recently Tasmo, the biggest platform for all this is smart, and the government of a challenge that they need their brain to start thinking. So for you as a startup, instead of you just duplicating other, really a problem. And the government also having with this Tasmo platform, supported and financed, and there is a fund to solve. So always for you, look for solving problem and how you can solve it differently. Better than to go for duplicating some application or other solution, and you just need to spend more time in advertising to show that you are bigger, because at the end you are not adding too much. Somebody else already solved it. But the market is big with a lot of challenges. Even what we can saw in FIFA, they mentioned their websites, we have a lot of challenges. You are most welcome. Come, solve it, and we will fund you. So here, let's change our way, how we can start our startup. Let's look to the challenges, and we start building the business on it.
You're exactly right. Exactly right. And the only point that I would say, which I wasn't trying to go again, was Snunu. They came into a marketplace that I thought was quite saturated, but they came in here and they done some good things. Like I remember, which stood out in my mind, when they looked up and they said, in this hot weather, we're only going to go out in cars. What a unique selling point that was, do you know? And don't be afraid. Coffee shops. I would never be afraid of coffee shops. I would make sure that my service was second to none, and I would make sure that I done upselling. I would upsell every person that came into my place. I would give them a great experience, and I would ask them if they wanted another coffee, because I bet you they can improve their service, their weekly, monthly turnover by at least 25, 30, 40%. That's where I'm coming from. You make sure that you're better than anybody else, and you offer that factor. I've got another one here, and I know that there's going to be a few of you that want to take this one. But as a beginner, should I focus on scope of the business in the GCC only, for operationalizing global business from Doha? And let's go to you, Wisam.
Of course, famous answer, it depends. But actually, it does depend. If you're looking on your business model at something like Kareem or Talabat, where you're taking an already proven business model, someone's de-risked it, and you want to copycat it here, Arabize it here, then definitely start from Doha and focus on GCC. If on the other hand, you're doing something which is global, then go global, but don't be afraid to have Doha as your, your headquarters. Now you can incorporate, maybe you're looking for investors. Investors are more comfortable in proven in a proven area like the U.S. Like our companies are Delaware incorporated because the laws are straightforward. We set up, there's no legal fees, and the investors come right in. And for IP, you can set up there, but you can still have your headquarters in Qatar, which is what we're doing, and we have set up, planning set up in QSTP. So just to answer your question, it depends on your business model. If you want to focus on GCC or the world.
And I'm gonna, I know that I'm coming to the end now, and I want to leave this with the one last question. And again, I'll start with you, Agata. What is your best advice? One piece of advice to all those startups out there that you're going to leave them with?
One. Oh God.
One. That one that feels you go for it.
Okay. Reach out to mentors for sure. Like, don't be scared to reach out, and have that humility to accept feedback, to accept advice, and consider it to improve your project.
Perfect. Ramzi?
Just to start.
Simple, huh? Simple.
Yeah.
Wisam?
I'd say never, ever, 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 ever give up.
Perfect. I love it. Love it. Dania?
So a lot of things were covered, but I would say think from the mindset of a consumer. So whatever you're struggling with and frustrates you in life, solve that problem. That's your startup. That's your next idea.
Beautiful.
Absolute pleasure, and well done to everybody on here today. That was absolutely fantastic, and this is why I love the ecosystem in Qatar. There's people like you that are going out there and making a difference with so many people, from Dr. Javinder, from his team, from you guys. It's a bright time. Just listen to those points, and they are valuable. Just go out and make a difference. Go on, you can all do it. Shaman, do you want to take over here?
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Steve, Agata, Ramzi, Wisam, Dania, everyone. That was a wonderful event for all your great insights. I'm sure it has helped a lot of entrepreneurs today. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We've recorded this session. I'll be posting this session on YouTube very soon. And yeah, we'll see you all in the next Startup Grind event. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Steve. Great job.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Brilliant. Thanks so much indeed.
How do we leave? I'm stuck here.